Welcome to this next match of the Alliance Tournament, commentated by myself, moderator, and Chester. For this match, we're going to have Circle of Two against Catastrophic Overview Failure, or COF. Chester, tell us a little bit about both of these teams.
So, Circle of Two, very interesting dynamics happened in Nullsec regarding them and the Imperium a while ago, and of course UF Alliance is a branch off from Brave. Mod, what have both of these teams brought for us today?
So Circle of Two is bringing everything in twos, as their Alliance name would suggest. They've got a pair of Macarials, a pair of Vigilance, a pair of Daredevils, a pair of Vengeances, and then they've got a No-Neros Tech 2 Logi, supported by a Jamming Blackbird.
COF has for us at Balgorn, Eos, Oneros, Dual Sacrilege, very interesting. With the Hecate, Double Zipple, Hound, and Nemesis. Both teams have very interesting setups, but Macarials are the most interesting of them all. Mod, why should we not probably see these in an AT?
Macarials are a ship that tend to benefit a great deal from having either slaves in lowsec or having snakes in nullsec. The problem that they have is that they're essentially an autocannon ship, and while they do have decent damage, you have to be very, very close to use them. And in a meta where everyone is going to be running newts, don't really matter too much for your output, but they do matter for your incoming tank. You just can't really get into range against that many webs and newts in this kind of a meta.
You would think that, but the Circle of Two team, very interestingly enough, has count them, four 90% webs. I think that they very much want to hold something down and blow it up with Vigilant, Macarial, and Daredevil DPS. But I'm worried that a team that would have a more fleshed out kind of support wing, which COF does not have, would be able to kind of tear those fairly lightly tanked ships apart. COF Alliance going for Hounds, only 3 T3Ds, 2 Zipples. I prefer Confessors at least, but these Sacrileges are really going to have to carry a large brunt of this damage, and I wonder if they're going to be able to signature tank at all under these 90% webs. Here we go. Mod, what's going on screen?
Already, we can see the Daredevils are burning hard around the core of the COF side. They're going to be trying to burn around for the logistics and try to get a tackle on that, so that the heavy damage of the rest of the team can get on top of them. Already, though, we've seen that the Balgorn is getting counterwebs onto the Oneros and the Vigilance. Already getting newts onto the Oneros, and this Vigilant is absolutely melting. Reps are only being applied late into hull, and it looks like he's going to pop.
God, on the burn-in, Vigilant down already. I'm actually very impressed by that because this team of COF doesn't have a ton of DPS, really. But, if you keep an MWD on with a lightly tanked cruiser that's under web, you're going to die. And it looks like COF just lost the Hound of their own, but that's not that big of a deal. Our Circle of Two is going full in on this Balgorn, which is a terrible mistake. They need to kill the Oneros quickly. Circle of Two right now is just getting eviscerated by COF.
Yeah, Circle of Two is trying to get some jams on the Oneros, but it's not going to be enough. Remember that those are only jam attempts, that they haven't necessarily landed. The Daredevils, though, are very lightly tanked with only Tech 1 resists, and the Survivals are just tearing through it and have already killed St. Lucifer.
Yeah, I see some webs going on in the Zipple and the Hound, but again, Macarials, being a turret battleship, have difficulty applying, and they're sitting back at range. They're not really at all held down. They should be getting closer. They should be moving in. I mean, they have the mobility advantage here, minus the Balgorn webs, which you're going to kind of have to deal with in the setup. But this Blackbird does not have enough to stop the Oneros. They've lost a Hound and a Nemesis, yes, but traded it for a Vigilant and a Daredevil. And right now we're kind of at a standstill going back and forth, but I still put the advantage over to COF Alliance just because they have a way better tank setup. Sacrileges are known for being very, very tanky. With the Oneros still there, and with the Balgorn newts and webs slowly doing work, I think that Circle of Two is going to have a hard time clawing their way back from this.
Having said that, though, they've managed to jam out the Oneros, so we can see the Kate of Mosquito and the Spiteful of Mentino are going down. At the same time, COF is looking to trade out the Oneros of Gigax, who's just had his rep drones get pulled off of him for some reason. And now we can see that both Sacrileges and the Spiteful have killed him. Then both of those are going to be hunting off of new respective targets. So let's see what the new primary from COF will be.
I really don't like Circle of Two's target calling. They're still on this Balgorn, and they're killing the support wing. I assume just having either a Daredevil or a Vigilant go after there, but they're losing their DPS. Both these Vigilants, when they go down with the Oneros, these Macarials are going to be absolutely destroyed by Sacrileges. Once a Sacrilege gets on top of a Macarial, it can get under its guns and it can live there happily forever. If this Vigilant goes down as well for Circle of Two, there it goes. I would be very scared right now because COF has this very, very long-standing, very, very healthy T2 Logi backbone that Circle of Two is lacking.
Yeah, right now with the Oneros still up, there's nothing really can actually kill this Fightful as long as the Oneros isn't jammed. And with that, the Blackboard is now fully tackled. It's got paints on top of him, so we're going to see missile damage incoming from the Sacrileges on top of that. And then, in all likelihood, we're going to see the Daredevils and Vengeances that have been held down get killed next. Balgorn, I like, is nossing off the Macarials to prevent them from actually being able to prop mod.
Yeah, it's great. The Macarials, I just have not seen them do anything here. The Vigilants and the Daredevils look really juicy, right? A really high DPS, 90% web. What's not to love? Well, the issue is their EHP is very, very low. With their very high speeds, they can quickly move into position, which sounds great, but they can also get out of position in a team comp where the Vigilants and the Blackbirds, the Vigilants and the Daredevils should have been supporting for the Macarials, or at least trying to go for that Oneros right away, locking it down with 90% webs, and having the Macarials come in and then finish the job with all of that DPS locked on. And again, we're seeing these teams make terrible mistakes and not going for the important ships right away. Yes, they're going to kill this Balgorn of COF, but it is way too little, way too late, because these Sacrileges with an Eos providing the links on top of the Oneros are in no danger from Macarials.
Having said that, though, the Oneros has been neuted out rather heavily. We've got webs on top of him, so we could see the support wing all in and commit to them. If these Macarials are very heavily tanked with plates, Circle of Two may actually be able to swing this back.
So it's only being neuted by small newts, which is annoying, yes, but if the Macarials were on top of it dropping heavy newts, I would be more concerned. We'll see if those small newts are going to be enough. We would assume that maybe the Oneros has a double injector setup, or at least has an AAR, or, is going to be able to last for a long enough time to be able to drop the Macarials. Macarials are perfect targets for Sacrileges using their hams, but now that I say that, of course, this Oneros is actually dropping quickly. It looks like Macarials are getting excellent damage from range, finally, at least on something, and I just wonder why they didn't go for the Balgorn right away. Why they didn't go for the Oneros right away. Wow, down quickly instead of focusing on the Balgorn. Wow, very surprising.
Yeah, that Oneros had the Daredevil and the Vengeances on top of him, so he was webbed down to absolutely nothing. And the Daredevil has now been killed, but a little too late as the Oneros of Whitner has already died.
So
go ahead, Mod. Play if you're in their position.
If I'm in their position right now, they need to kite. If they get caught by the Sacrileges at all, or the Eos, they're going to lose this match. And, Scram Web right now on one of the Macarials, so that's a huge problem. The two Sacrileges, it depends right now if they have an active armor tank or not. If they do, they can pull back because they can easily get under the guns of one Macarial, start orbiting, and the other Macarial probably doesn't have the DPS to break them. The Vengeances are going to need to be on top of those Sacrileges trying to screen them, but with only 2 mid-slots, the Vengeances aren't going to be packing a web. So if the Sacrileges have AB, they can still stand her, but you know what? That's not happening because Yuri is just dropping like a rock.
Yeah, a rather strange matchup. We can see that the Macarial of Sebastian is into just under half armor, but with only an Eos putting out Tech 1 drones and probably relying more on links and tank than damage. I think COF might have thrown this.
I think I'm going to eat my weight now. This is very, very surprising. They started out so strong, maybe by misplays by the Vigilant, burning in too quickly. The Daredevils, as you had said earlier, makes the right play, moving far outside the entire battle line of both ships running at each other, getting around behind to the Oneros, and it's something that you mentioned. 2 Daredevils with the DPS and heat that they can put out with the Vengeances are easily probably close to 700 to 800 DPS on the Oneros, and it will not be able to sig tank any of it at all. So that drops fairly quickly. It took a long time for that to happen, but now that it has, Sacrileges on their own are pretty defenseless if they're scrammed and held down outside of their very minimal ham range. And if this Eos goes down too, this Sacrilege has no chance. I cannot believe it.
Yeah, the Sacrilege won't have links, and even if he were somehow able to sig tank the Macarials, there's no way he could kill Sebastian and then judge in time, so Circle of Two is just going to win this on points.
Yeah, without question. I think Circle of Two could have made this way cleaner if they didn't focus the Balgorn for so long. That being said, the Balgorn I felt didn't have nearly as much of an effect as I was hoping it to. I didn't see it pinned down by any of the vengeances, which it certainly could have been. If they flew in there. But the Balgorn didn't have the webs, didn't have the newts that I was looking for. And, even though Circle of Two traded Logis much, much later than COF took theirs down, it seems that it didn't matter just because the COF team did not have the DPS left after they let their entire support wing get absolutely slaughtered by the webs that Circle of Two brought. They have 490% webs, which cannot be understated because it really helps turret battleships apply damage.
Yeah, and in order to prevent those turret battleships from applying damage, as Chester's been mentioning, after the Circle of Two lost their Oniro, COF needed to get rid of the Daredevils. Daredevils having little to no tank and no reps to support them means that they're going to pop nearly instantly. And with that, Circle of Two is going to win it 100 to 50.
I think they could have done better if Sacrileges was screening Vigilance and the T3D gang were going after their Daredevil backbone. But there you have it, Circle of Two, making me eat my words, pulling out an excellent win against COF.